Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The report published today by Baroness Casey, commissioned by the Mayor of London into standards and culture in the Metropolitan Police Service, is thorough, forensic and truly damning. It finds consent is broken, management of the force has failed, frontline policing, especially neighbourhood policing, has been deprioritised and degraded after a decade of austerity in which the Met has ended up with £0.7 billion less than at the beginning of the decade. It finds the Met is failing women and children, that predatory and unacceptable behaviour have been allowed to flourish, and it finds institutional racism, misogyny and homophobia. Baroness Casey pays tribute to the work police officers do and the bravery that they show every day, and all of us should do so, because across the country we depend on the work that police officers do to keep us all safe, catching criminals, protecting the vulnerable, saving lives, and we support them in that vital work. But that is what makes it all the more important that the highest of standards are maintained and confidence in those the police service sustained. Otherwise, it lets down communities and the vital work police officers do. We support the work the new Met Commissioner is doing now to start turning the Met around. He and his team must now go much further in response to the Casey review. But I am concerned that the Home Secretary's statement is dangerously complacent. Yeah. Exactly. Astonishingly, there is no new action set out in her response, simply words saying that the Met must change. This is a continuation of the hands-off Home Office response that Baroness Casey criticises in her report. Some of the issues raised are particular to the Met because of its size, history and particular culture, where the Home Secretary and Mayor are jointly responsible for oversight and where the Commissioner is responsible for delivering. But the report also raises serious wider issues for the Home Office. The failure to root out officers who've been involved in domestic abuse, sexual assault, also applies in other forces. The failure to tackle culture has gone wrong in other forces too, problems in Gwent, Hampshire, Police Scotland, Sussex, Leicestershire and more. And it is a disgrace that there still are not mandatory requirements on vetting and training underpinned by law, that misconduct systems are still too weak. And I urge her to commit now that anyone under investigation for domestic abuse or sexual assault will be automatically suspended from their role as a police officer, and that anyone with any kind of history of domestic abuse or sexual assault will not be given any chance to become a police officer. We need an urgent overhaul underpinned by law. Will she give us that commitment today? The Home Office approach more widely to standards is also failing. 6 police forces are in so-called special measures, but it is still too easy for forces to ignore the recommendations from the Inspectorate, and the intervention processes are too weak. Where is her plan to turn that around? The report is damning about the decimation of frontline policing, but neighbourhood policing has been decimated everywhere, not just in the Met. 6,000 fewer police officers in neighbourhood teams, 8,000 fewer PCSOs, just than 2016, and it's worse than that because officers are routinely abstracted for other duties. So where is the plan to restore neighbourhood policing? Labour has set out a plan. We would work with the government on this, but where is the government's plan? The report finds is devastating for the lack of proper public protection arrangements for women and children who have been let down. But again, we know that across the country, prosecutions for rape and domestic abuse have plummeted and serious cases have too often been dismissed. So again, where is the National Action Plan to improve public protection? Where is the commitment to specialist rape investigation units in every force, specialist domestic abuse experts in 999 control rooms? It is not happening. And the findings on institutional misogyny, racism and homophobia are based on evidence and clear criteria that Baroness Casey has set out for measuring change with recommendations. The Home Secretary rightly says she wants discrimination tackled in all its forms, but she has been telling police forces the opposite and telling them not to focus on those issues. So where is her plan now to turn that around? Where is the Home Office plan in response to this? On standards, on neighbourhood policing, on violence against women and girls, and on systemic or institutional discrimination. Where are those plans? The British policing model is precious. Those Peel principles that started in London, policing by consent, the police are the public are the police, they are our guardians, not our guards. But that precious policing model is in peril. The Home Office and the Home Secretary are the custodians of that tradition. But the lack of any plan to restore trust or to stand things up for policing or to turn things round is letting everyone down. It's not standing up for the police, it's letting both police and communities down. It is because we believe in policing, because we believe in those Peel principles, that we know standing up for the police also means working with the police to deliver change and to restore the trust, the confidence and effective policing that all police officers and communities properly deserve.
Mr. Speaker, I must say that I'm disappointed by the shadow. I'm disappointed by the Right Honourable Lady's tone. Today is not a day for crass political point scoring. It's a day for serious and sober consideration of the Met's shortcomings and how those shortcomings have a devastating impact on people's lives. The victims have asked for actions, not words. And I, along with the Mayor of London, have every confidence that Sir Mark Rowley and his team will deliver their plan to turn around the Met. And accepting Baroness Casey's findings is not incompatible with supporting the institution of policing and the vast majority of brave men and women who uphold the highest professional standards. I back the police. I trust them to put their safety before ours. On the topic of national standards, I'm working with Chief Constables on a programme to drive up standards and improve culture across police forces at a national level. On the topic of institutional racism, Mr. Speaker, I agree with Sir Mark Rowley. It's not a helpful term to use. It's an ambiguous, contested and politically charged term that is much misused and risks making it harder for officers to win back the trust of communities. Sir Mark is committed to rooting out discrimination in all forms from the Met, and I believe that is how the Met Police respond to the issues, which is important, not whether they accept a label. Trust in the police is fundamental, Mr. Speaker, and I will work to support Sir Mark Rowley in his work to change culture and provide the leadership that the Met needs. But I would point out to the Shadow Home Secretary that her crass political attacks really would be more accurately directed at the person with actual and political responsibility for overseeing the performance of the Met. That is the Mayor of London, Labour's Sadiq Khan. The Labour Mayor has been in charge of the Met for the past 7 years. Baroness Casey is unflinching and unequivocal about the dysfunctional relationship between the Mayor's office and the Met, and her recommendation that the Mayor takes a more hands-on approach. It was frankly shocking to learn that the Labour Mayor does not already chair a quarterly board meeting to exercise accountability over the Met. I trust that the Shadow Home Secretary will agree that the Mayor accepts Baroness Casey's recommendation that he do so. Londoners have been let down by the Met. The Shadow Home Secretary knows who is ultimately responsible for that. She shouldn't be looking to scoring political points today. It's a disappointment, and frankly, she should know better.